London is a city where the past and the present walk side by side. From historic monuments to modern icons, this journey reveals a glimpse of the stories, contrasts, and curiosities of one of the world's most fascinating capitals. Founded by the Romans nearly 2,000 years ago, London has evolved through centuries of history to become the heart of one of the greatest empires the world has ever known. As the capital of the British Empire, London played a decisive role in shaping global politics, economics, and culture, leaving a lasting impact on human history. Today, London is one of Europe's most vibrant, populous, and influential cities, continuing to stand out as a leading global destination for culture, finance, and tourism. More than just a city, London is an experience. At every corner, history, culture, and modern life come together to create an unforgettable journey. Discover the world-famous landmarks that make the British capital a must-visit destination: Big Ben, Tower Bridge, Westminster Abbey, the Tower of London, Buckingham Palace, the London Eye, St. Paul's Cathedral, the Palace of Westminster, the British Museum, Parliament Square, and Piccadilly Circus. Most of these attractions are located along the banks of, or close to, the River Thames. We begin with what is perhaps London's greatest icon, Big Ben. But here comes the first secret: Big Ben is not exactly what it seems. It is neither the tower nor the clock. In fact, Big Ben is the nickname of the gigantic 13-ton bell hidden inside. When it was cast, it was so large that transporting it to the site required a carriage pulled by 16 horses. The tower itself was originally called the Clock Tower and is now known as the Elizabeth Tower. In a curious detail, the precision of its centuries-old mechanism is still regulated today by the weight of simple one-penny coins placed on the pendulum. There is a light at the top of the tower, above the clock, which, when illuminated, indicates that Parliament is in session. Tower Bridge, the city's most famous and most photographed bridge, is another traditional symbol of London. The bridge has two 65-meter-high towers connected by two walkways, while the lower section opens to allow ships to pass through. But do not confuse it with London Bridge, its simpler neighbor, often mistaken by tourists. There is a legend that a businessman bought London Bridge believing he was purchasing Tower Bridge. Although the businessman denied it, the story has survived to this day. And if you think London is always predictable, imagine the shock of bus passengers in 1952. The bridge began to open with them still on it, and fortunately the driver was skilled enough to prevent a more serious accident. He accelerated and managed to jump the vehicle across the River Thames. Over the bridge's 130 years of existence, several other minor incidents have also occurred. Westminster Abbey is an Anglican church, officially known as the Collegiate Church of St. Peter. More than a religious temple, it is the stage where, since the year 1066, almost all the kings and queens of England have been crowned. The Abbey also holds secrets. On the famous coronation chair, it is still possible to see names carved by rebellious students centuries ago. Walking through this place is like visiting a catalogue of the geniuses of humanity, who rest beneath its stone floor. Royal weddings and other important events are also held at the Abbey. There is a legend that tells of a young fisherman on the River Thames who had a vision of St. Peter, which may have inspired the idea of naming the Abbey. The Tower of London is one of the most important and fascinating historic monuments in the history of England. The Tower of London is located near Tower Bridge. In fact, it is not just a single tower, but a complex of 21 towers. It is a place where, since the Norman conquest of 1066, glory and fear have walked hand in hand. In the beginning, it was a grand palace, built as a fortress to intimidate. While it served as a symbol of British monarchical power, it was also an explicit way of showing who was in command. Beyond its original purpose, it has had many other roles, including serving as a zoo and as England's most feared prison. Today, behind its walls, the crown jewels are kept, an invaluable collection of diamonds and gold. But according to legend, the true secret behind the survival of the kingdom lies in a peculiar detail involving the ravens. They say that if these birds ever leave the tower, the monarchy and the kingdom will fall. From royal banquets to the grim Traitors' Gate, the tower is a labyrinth of stories where every stone has a secret to tell. Buckingham Palace is a royal residence and the administrative headquarters of the monarch of the United Kingdom. It is also the center of state occasions and royal hospitality, and the surrounding area has long been a popular gathering place during moments of national celebration and mourning. From the outside, it is possible to tell whether the king is in the palace simply by observing which flag is flying at the top. If it is the flag of the United Kingdom, the king is not in residence. If it is the colorful one with lions and a harp, the king is in the palace. As for security, there have been some unusual incidents over the years. In the 19th century, a teenager broke into the palace 3 times. On one of these occasions, he even managed to steal the queen's underwear. The palace's exterior walls are made of ancient stone, composed of tiny fossilized organisms approximately 160 to 170 million years old. In this way, the history of the earth quite literally supports the history of the crown. To give an idea of the palace's size, it has 775 rooms, including 188 reserved solely for staff. From past to present, we come to a modern attraction of the city, the London Eye. It is London's giant Ferris wheel, although technically it is defined in a different way. It is an innovative observation wheel, with the capsules positioned on the outside of the wheel rather than hanging like those of a traditional Ferris wheel. In total, there are 32 capsules, each with a capacity of 25 people. It is the most visited paid tourist attraction in the United Kingdom. From the top of its 135 meters, visitors enjoy an extraordinary view of London. Because it rotates at a very slow speed, about 26 centimeters per second, taking roughly 30 minutes to complete a full rotation, there is plenty of time to take in the city. Depending on the day's visibility conditions, it is possible to see up to 40 kilometers away, which may allow views of Windsor Castle, located on the outskirts of the city. To learn more about Windsor Castle, watch the video Windsor, Secrets of the Haunted Castle. St. Paul's Cathedral is the Phoenix of London. After being completely destroyed in the Great Fire of London in 1666, it was rebuilt and thus rose from the ashes. During World War II, it survived the bombings almost intact. Its dome is the second largest in the world and hides an acoustic secret. In the Whispering Gallery, the architecture allows a softly spoken secret on one side to travel along the walls and be heard on the opposite side of the dome. In addition to being the setting for the unforgettable wedding of Lady Di, the cathedral preserves in its crypt the heroes who helped shape the British Empire. With its 111-meter height, it was London's tallest building for the first 253 years of its existence. After Liverpool Cathedral, St. Paul's Cathedral is the second largest religious building in the United Kingdom by area. To learn more about Liverpool, watch the video Liverpool, Music Icon. St. Paul's Cathedral has been the site of countless ceremonies, including state funerals, weddings, and many others. The Palace of Westminster, beside the famous clock tower, is the seat of the Parliament of the United Kingdom and the meeting place of its 2 legislative chambers, the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Although it looks like a medieval castle, most of the building was rebuilt after a catastrophic fire in the 19th century, with only the vast Westminster Hall remaining as a witness to nearly 1,000 years of history. At the palace, traditions are taken very seriously. On the floor of Parliament, red lines separate politicians by a distance equal to the length of 2 swords, an old measure meant to ensure that debates did not end in duels. To this day, it is forbidden to cross the red line while speaking. Because of events from the past, such as the famous gunpowder plot, security remains strict. Before major ceremonies, the cellars are searched to ensure that no new attempt at an explosion takes place. In this way, the Palace of Westminster is a place where modern politics is guided by rules that are centuries old. In the members' cloakrooms, there are silk ribbons hanging from the coat hooks. They were used for members of Parliament to hang their swords. This is a tradition that has survived, even though no one carries swords today. There is a legend that borders on the impossible, claiming that it is forbidden to die inside the Palace of Westminster, because as a royal palace, the deceased would be entitled to a state funeral. The British Museum is a treasure that preserves the history of humanity under one roof. With a collection of around 8 million objects, it is the world's oldest public museum and houses relics that have transformed our understanding of the past. The formation of this vast collection is largely linked to the role of the United Kingdom during the period of the British Empire, as well as to archaeological excavations, donations, and acquisitions made over the centuries. The museum, which offers free admission, is dedicated to the history, art, and culture of humanity. It is here that the famous Rosetta Stone rests, the magical key that allowed scholars to decipher Egyptian hieroglyphs. Because of this, the Rosetta Stone has consistently been the museum's most sought-after attraction, and its ownership continues to be claimed by the Egyptians. Walking through its galleries is like traveling across all continents, from the controversial Parthenon marbles to the imposing mummies of Egypt. It is, without a doubt, the place where the world comes together to tell its own story. The museum collaborates with the Google Cultural Institute so that its content goes beyond its physical space, making its collection available online. The city also offers several other museum options, such as the Natural History Museum, the Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art, the Museum of Decorative Arts, and the Museum of Science and Technology. Tourism in London delivers impressive results. The two largest tourist attractions by number of visitors in 2024 were the British Museum, with 6.5 million visitors, and the Natural History Museum, with 6.3 million. Thus, these two attractions alone received a total of 12.8 million visitors. Visitor numbers for some of London's attractions were as follows: the Tower of London with 2.9 million, Westminster Abbey with 1.7 million, St. Paul's Cathedral with 1.5 million, Tower Bridge with 965,000, and the Palace of Westminster with 560,000. In the same year, London's population was 9.1 million inhabitants. It is estimated that the London Eye received more than 2.4 million visitors. We will now explore one of London's open areas, Parliament Square. It is located between Westminster Abbey and the Palace of Westminster and is a space dedicated to freedom and democracy. In the square, there are bronze statues and all British flags, those of its 4 countries, counties, crown dependencies, and overseas territories of the Commonwealth of Nations. Parliament Square is intended to serve as a stage where the people can express their aspirations. It is the place Londoners go when they want to be heard by the government, turning the square into the beating heart of protests and freedom of expression. Another notable open area in London is Piccadilly Circus. If there is a heart in London that never stops beating, this is the place. Known as the London Times Square, it is famous for its gigantic LED screens and for the aluminum statue that people believe represents Eros. However, it is actually a depiction of the angel of Christian charity. The name Piccadilly originated from a tailor who made a fortune selling extravagant lace collars to the nobility of the 17th century. Today, the area is the city's great meeting point, where the glow of modern lights blends with the energy of theaters and nightlife. It is the perfect place to feel the fast-paced pulse of one of the most cosmopolitan cities on the planet, the heart of entertainment. London can also be described as a financial center, competing with New York for the title of the world's leading financial capital. In closing, London is not just a destination, it is an experience that transcends time. Between stories that have echoed for centuries and a city in constant motion, past and present move side by side, inviting every visitor to become part of this journey. Because of what it was and what it is, London stands as one of the most fascinating capitals in the world. This is where we conclude, for now, until our next travel experience.